Welcome to Pam Jamma's Magical Tales. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share to stay updated. If you'd like to support the channel, see sequels, vote on upcoming stories, or even chat with us, check out my Patreon. Every bit of support helps bring more magical stories to life. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Alex in Diaper Land. Series 1. Issue number 1, Diaper Butt. The winter air in Detroit was sharp, biting at Alex's cheeks as he trudged through the city's bustling core. His breath fogged in front of him, each exhale a fleeting cloud in the frigid morning. The streets were alive with the rhythm of 1,000 footsteps, the murmur of conversations, the occasional honk of a car horn. Alex kept his head down, his long blonde hair spilling over the collar of his thick Norwegian sweater. Beneath his bundled layers, thermal shirt, sweater, puffy jacket, was a secret only he knew, a big, thick disposable diaper, its pink paw prints and yellow trim hidden from the world. He had tucked an extra soaker pad in the middle, just to be sure. His shift was long. Alex's mind wandered as he walked, his thoughts drifting between the comfort of the diaper with each step and the weight of the world pressing down on him. It was 2026, and the world felt like it was unraveling. The files had been leaked just last month, thousands of documents detailing the horrors committed by the world's elite on private islands. Politicians, CEOs, even a few royalty, all implicated in unspeakable acts. The worst part? No one in power seemed to care. No arrests. No trials. Just silence. Except for her. The Red Queen. She was the third superhero to appear in the 3 years, each one born on New Year's Day under bizarre, radioactive circumstances. The first had been bitten by a radioactive mosquito. Another had been caught in a nuclear reactor meltdown. But the Red Queen? Her origin story was almost absurd. Samantha, though no one called her that anymore, had been a security guard at a waste management facility. Bored on her shift, she had been reading Alice in Wonderland, the original Lewis Carroll book. And so, engrossed in the chapter about the Queen of Hearts, she tripped on some scaffolding and plunged into a vat of radioactive slime. When she emerged, she was different. Stronger. Bigger. Her already tall frame had grown by nearly 30%, making her a towering figure among ordinary humans. Her skin had taken on an almost porcelain quality, her hair a vibrant, fiery red. She had become the Red Queen, a force of nature clad in a frilly red and white dress, her face painted white, her lips a permanent crimson sneer. And she had a mission. Justice. Alex had followed her exploits religiously. In just 2 months, she had taken down 2 of the billionaires named in the files. Her catchphrase, "Off with their heads," had become a rallying cry for those who felt powerless. For Alex, she was a beacon of hope in a world that seemed irreparably broken. He rounded a corner, lost in thought, when a commotion up ahead snapped him back to reality. A scream. Then another. The crowd parted, people pressing themselves against buildings, their faces twisted in fear. Alex looked up just in time to see her. The Red Queen. She was barreling down the sidewalk, her red and white dress billowing behind her, her katana blade gleaming in the pale winter light. She was screaming, her voice a shrill, furious banshee wail, "Off with their heads." The word sent a shiver down Alex's spine. He had heard recordings of her voice, but nothing compared to the raw, unfiltered fury of it in person. Ahead of her, a dweeby-looking billionaire, one of the names from the files, was sprinting for his life, flanked by 2 hulking bodyguards dressed in black suits. The bodyguard in the back turned to fire at the Red Queen, her katana flashing. The man went down with a cry, clutching his leg. The billionaire's face was a mask of panic, his eyes wide with terror as he realized his time was coming to an end. The remaining bodyguard, a mountain of a man, barreled forward, clearing a path for his boss. Alex didn't think. He acted. If I can just slow him down. His heart pounded in his chest. He hadn't played hockey since he was 13, when the other kids had outgrown him, their bodies filling out with muscle while he remained slight and wiry. But he remembered the basics. He remembered how to plant his feet, how to angle his body, how to throw his weight into a check. Alex spread his feet, bending his knees slightly. He could feel the crinkle of the diaper beneath his layers, a strange comfort in the midst of chaos. The bodyguard was almost on him, his face a snarl of determination. Alex took a deep breath, clenched his fists, and braced for impact. The collision was brutal. The bodyguard's full weight slammed into Alex's chest, knocking the wind out of him. Pain exploded through his ribs, his vision swimming as he was sent flying backward. The last thing he heard before the world went black was, "Off with their heads." And then, nothing. Issue number 2, the start of something special. Alex's eyelids fluttered open. The first thing he saw was a cascade of fiery red hair, framing a face that hovered above him like a living canopy. The strands swayed gently, catching the dim light filtering through a grimy window. He blinked, his vision swimming, his head throbbing as if someone had taken a sledgehammer to his skull. "There you are." The voice was warm, rich, and laced with amusement. Alex tried to focus, his gaze traveling up to meet a pair of piercing silver eyes set in a face painted with stark white makeup. The Red Queen's lips curved into a broad, genuine smile, her porcelain skin almost glowing in the muted light. Alex groaned, his hand instinctively reaching for his forehead. "Where?" His voice came out as a raspy croak. "Relax there, Tiger," she said, her voice playful yet firm. She pressed a hand lightly against his chest, guiding him back down with an effortless strength that belied her gentle touch. "You took quite a spill back there. Hit your head pretty hard. We need to keep this ice pack on it." Alex's fingers twitched against the cold pack beneath his head. The world tilted slightly as he settled back, his stomach lurching. "I feel a little sick," he admitted. "That's normal," she assured him, her smile never wavering. "You hit your head. I teleported us here. Just lay down on the ice pack and get your bearings back." Memories flooded back, the bodyguard barreling toward him, the impact, the Red Queen's katana flashing in the winter light. "Did you get him?" he blurted, his voice suddenly urgent. The Red Queen chuckled, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. She leaned back, her arms sweeping out in a grand gesture. Alex's eyes followed the movement, landing on the splatters of dried blood staining the frills of her red and white dress. His lips curled into a grin. "Nice," he breathed, the word escaping him like a sigh of relief. "I'm impressed," she said, leaning in again, her hair brushing against his cheeks. "You were pretty brave back there. Most people just get out of the way and let me do all the work." Alex's grin faltered, replaced by a sheepish smirk. "Maybe I'm auditioning to be your sidekick. Even though I acted more like a speed bump," he muttered, heat creeping up his neck. She laughed, the sound filling the small, run-down studio apartment. The walls were peeling, the furniture sparse and worn. A single bed, where Alex now lay, sat in the corner, surrounded by stacks of books and a few scattered takeout containers. The industrial area of Detroit hummed faintly outside, the distant rumble of machinery and traffic seeping through the brick walls. "Well," she said, her fingers lightly caressing his hair, "it's a breath of fresh air to see someone stand up to them. Even if it was more of a stumble." Alex's heart pounded in his chest. He lifted his hand, his fingers trembling slightly as he reached for hers. She took it without hesitation, her grip firm but careful, as if she were handling something fragile. Her hand dwarfed his, her skin smooth as porcelain but with an unmistakable resilience beneath it. It was unlike anything he'd ever felt, almost like Kevlar woven into flesh, impenetrable yet strangely soft. "I'm your biggest fan," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "What you do. It's literally the best." "Oh, really?" she purred, her thumb brushing over his knuckles. "What's your name, Tiger?" "Alex." "Well, hello, Alex." She gave his hand a gentle squeeze before releasing it. "I'm Samantha. though most people call me the Red Queen. Alex swallowed hard, his mind racing. Hi Samantha, he repeated, as if testing the weight of her name on his tongue. She leaned in closer, her smile turning sly. You know, Alex, you're the first person who's ever tried to help me like that. Everyone else just watches from the sidelines. Alex's face burned. He opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, her hand moved, suddenly, unexpectedly, landing with a playful pat on his crotch. His breath hitched, his entire body tensing as her fingers pressed lightly against the thick padding of his diaper. Luckily, you had a little extra padding to break your fall, she teased, her grin widening as Alex's face turned a shade of red that rivaled her hair. His mind reeled. She knows. Of course she knew. She had teleported him here, had probably felt the bulk of the diaper beneath his clothes. His heart hammered against his ribs, his cheeks flaming with embarrassment. But then, something else. Something warmer. Something like acceptance. The Red Queen's laughter filled the room, bright and uninhibited. She reached out, her fingers tangling in his long blonde hair, ruffling it affectionately. You're adorable, she said, her voice soft, almost tender. Alex let out a tiny, submissive whimper, his gaze dropping to the side. He couldn't meet her eyes, couldn't bear the weight of her amusement, or was it admiration? His face burned, his mind a whirlwind of shock, embarrassment, and something else. Something he couldn't quite name. The Red Queen's smile only grew, her fingers lingering in his hair. Keep your head on that ice pack, Tiger, she murmured. You've had quite a day. Issue number 3, The Red Mess. Alex's fingers twitched against the edge of the ice pack, his mind racing. The weight of Samantha's hand on his diaper was almost unbearable, not because it was uncomfortable, but because it was there, pressing lightly, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. He needed to change the subject. Now. Is it true? He stuttered, his voice cracking slightly. That your skin can't be penetrated by bullets? The Red Queen's grin didn't falter. Yeah, it's true, she said with a casual shrug. It's going to make getting flu shots pretty hard, though. I don't think I'll be getting those anymore. Alex let out a giggle, his laughter cut short as he realized her hand was still resting on his diaper. His face burned hotter, his gaze darting around the room in search of anything to focus on besides the way her fingers idly patted the thick padding beneath his clothes. His eyes landed on the kitchen counter. 2 tortoiseshell cats sat side by side, their tails flicking as they meticulously cleaned their hindquarters. Oh. You have cats? I love kitties, he blurted, seizing the distraction like a lifeline. The Red Queen glanced over her shoulder, her expression shifting to mock exasperation. Get down from there, she commanded, her voice sharp. The cats didn't budge. They simply paused, their big, luminous eyes locking onto hers for a beat before resuming their grooming as if she hadn't spoken at all. My goodness, she sighed, shaking her head. Those cats will not listen to me. She finally withdrew her hand from Alex's diaper, finally, but the movement was so effortless, so unself-conscious, it was as if she hadn't even noticed it was there in the first place. She clapped her hands together and stood, striding toward the counter. Get off that counter now, you little demons. This time, the cats scattered, leaping gracefully to the floor before vanishing. Sorry, the Red Queen said, turning back to Alex with an apologetic smirk. I know it must seem disgusting that I let my cats walk around on my counters. No, it's fine, Alex insisted, his voice too high, too quick. It's 100% fine. Really. Lay down, she ordered, pointing a finger at him. Keep your head on that ice pack. Alex obeyed instantly, his cheeks still flushed. Sorry, he mumbled. The Red Queen leaned against the counter, her arms crossed, her gaze studying him with an intensity that made his stomach flip. So, Alex, she began, her tone shifting to something lighter, almost playful. Do you like to clean? Alex blinked. Excuse me? She tilted her head, her fingers steepled together in a cartoonishly villainous gesture. You know. Cleaning. Scrubbing. Making things sparkle. Oh. Yeah, I suppose, he admitted, his brow furrowing. My place is pretty clean. Too clean, some people joke. Really? She purred, her eyes gleaming with mischief. She pushed off the counter and sauntered back toward him, her bloodied dress swishing with each step. And do you really want to be my sidekick? Alex's breath hitched. Excuse me? She stopped beside the bed, her grin widening. Because the truth is, I need some help. She spread her arms, gesturing to the cluttered apartment. I've got the off with their heads part figured out, but my personal life? She laughed, shaking her head. It's a mess. And I've been looking for someone who can help. Alex stared at her, his mind struggling to keep up. You want me to help you clean? Well, she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, I was thinking more than just cleaning. More? Alex repeated, his voice squeaking. Issue number 4, Alex in Diaper Land. Alex lay back on the bed, the ice pack still pressed against the back of his head. His mind raced, replaying Samantha's words over and over again. Well, I was thinking about more than just cleaning. Before he could process it further, she was already casting a shadow over him as she reached out, her fingers threading through his hair once more. Alex's breath hitched, his heart pounding in his chest. I could really use a hand around here, she said, her voice warm and playful. With cleaning, with cooking, with taking care of the kitties, with just taking care of this place in general. Buying groceries, maybe some company when I come home. You know, maybe somebody who knows how to get bloodstains out of costumes. Alex blinked up at her, his surprise evident in his wide eyes. And you want me? He stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. The Red Queen's smile brightened, her fingers still tangled in his hair. Yeah, I want you, she said, her voice soft yet firm. What you did back there was amazing. And I don't know, you just seem really nice, I guess. Alex's face flushed, his mind struggling to keep up with the whirlwind of emotions. He had never expected this, never imagined that someone like her, a superhero, would even notice him, let alone want him around. As if sensing his disbelief, she leaned in slightly, her grin turning mischievous. Oh, and I don't mind about the diaper, she added, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. I know you're probably worried about it. And for the record. She paused, her eyes sparkling with amusement. I think it's cute. I think it's adorable. Just like you. Alex's face burned crimson, his embarrassment so intense he couldn't even bring himself to look at her. Samantha let out a soft, delighted giggle, clearly enjoying his reaction. And it doesn't matter to me why you need it, she continued, her fingers still playing with his hair. Just as long as I get to pat that big fluffy butt of yours. Alex's mortification reached new heights, his face now a shade of red that could rival her lips. The Red Queen's laughter filled the room, bright and uninhibited, as she leaned back slightly, her expression softening. So what do you say? She asked, her voice gentle yet eager. Want to be my sidekick? Alex swallowed hard, his heart racing. For a moment, he couldn't find his voice. Then, in a rush of honesty, he whispered, yes. I do. I want that more than anything. Samantha's face lit up, her grin widening as she pulled her fist down in a triumphant gesture, her elbow bending with the motion. Yes, she exclaimed, her excitement palpable. Victory! She straightened, clapping her hands together as she began to pace slightly, her mind already racing ahead. Once you're ready to stand up, I'm going to take you somewhere, she said, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. I have a seamstress, a fantastic seamstress, who's going to set you up with your sidekick outfit. Alex's eyes widened, his embarrassment momentarily forgotten as the reality of what she was saying sank in. A sidekick outfit? He repeated, his voice tinged with awe. Yup. She nodded, her grin never faltering. I'm thinking something inspired by Alice, a cross between a Victorian girl's dress and a superhero outfit. Alex's face flushed again, this time with a mix of excitement and shy curiosity. A dress? He asked, his voice barely audible. The Red Queen chuckled, her eyes twinkling. Yes, a beautiful dress, she confirmed, her tone playful. You can be Alex in Diaper Land. Alex's face turned an even deeper shade of red, his embarrassment returning full force. Samantha laughed again, clearly delighted by his reaction. Oh my God, you're so cute when you're red in the face, she teased, her fingers gently ruffling his hair once more. Have you worn dresses before, Alex? She asked, her voice soft and curious. Alex shook his head meekly, his gaze dropping to the floor. A couple times, he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. Well, she said, her grin widening, it's going to make diaper changes a lot easier, I can tell you that much. I use the same seamstress that Mother Mosquito uses, she said, her voice taking on a proud tone. She's incredible. Your costume is going to be awesome. Alex met her gaze. Thank you for this, he murmured, his eyes watering with happiness. The Red Queen's smile softened, her expression turning maternal. You are welcome, Alex in Diaper Land. Welcome to your new life. Thanks so much for watching today. We hope you enjoyed this week's story and found it relatable, enjoyable, or just a little comforting. Remember, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. If you found this helpful or know someone who might, don't forget to like the video and share it with your community. Your support means everything and helps us keep creating content just for you. And if you'd like to see sequels, vote on upcoming stories, or even chat with us, check out our Patreon. Every bit of support keeps the magic alive. Until next time, take care and stay true to yourself.